Blog Talk Radio.
You know Lucifer? Nah. Well, you're about to meet him, motherfucker.
Let's do it.
The devil. The devil. Satan.
There is life after God.
All right, time for another edition of the Devil's Homepage, starring yours truly, King of Cups. How's everyone doing today? Probably better than me, anyway. You know, yesterday was my first show, right? So I'm like, I listen to it, and I hear all this crackling in the background, and what it is, it's my headphones. They creak, you see? Like when I move my head or whatever. So to avoid that, I have to keep my head very still, like I'm a black woman who just got her hair done. Basically, is how things are going,
Do your
right?
fucking job!
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, that's what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna see if it works out. I lowered the pickup on my microphone. It might be a little sensitive. So I don't even know if my voice is coming out, high enough when you all get to hear it. I guess I'll know after the show is done and I listen to it and see what kind of adjustments I make. Like, you know, the website says, well, you should do a test show, blah, 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 but I don't really have time for that, you know what I mean? I gotta sleep, you know? I need my beauty sleep and just my full 8 hours.
And make sure it's a good one.
Right. Yeah. Something's going on with soccer. I guess it's a championship game or whatever. I'm not really into soccer. That's not very American to be into soccer. You know? But what is American, I'll tell you right now, what is American is marijuana. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And see, here's the thing, is that when, when we as the stoners wanted marijuana to be legal, we said, hey politicians, you know, it's not a big deal. Plus, if we make it legitimate business, you can tax it, get your money, you know what I mean? And it's come to shoot us right in the foot. Yeah. A group of marijuana activists in Colorado are suing to prevent the government collecting taxes derived from the state's legal pot industry, saying it violates the right against self-incrimination guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution.
Because!
Yeah. So, come on, you guys. I mean, we can't have it both ways, can we? I mean, really, can we? This is one of the reasons we told them that legalizing pot would be a good thing for our country. And now we're kind of recanting our statement.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
We're recanting our statement, saying please don't tax it because we don't want to pay more for it than we already do, you know? The lawsuit filed by local lawyer Rob Corey this week in Denver District Court asks that a judge issue an injunction ordering the state and city of Denver to halt the practice. That is the practice of taxing us, of the dreaded taxes.
God, man, I was in that shit, man. I never had no dope like that before in my life, man. That's the heaviest shit I ever smoked, man. I mean, I smoked a lot of stupid one, man. But God, man, that's heavy shit.
Right. Corey, who also represents businesses in the marijuana industry and brought the suit on behalf of several marijuana dispensary owners and pot users, names elected officials and tax-collecting agencies as defendants in the complaint. Voters in Colorado and Washington state approved the legalization of recreational pot use by adults in the 2012 ballot measure. See, and now what's happening is that they're calling us on our own shit. They said, all right, pot smokers, pot growers, pot patients, you know, now that it's legal and you're going to have retail stores, you know, we're going to tax your ass. We'll tax your ass.
Blah, blah, blah.
You told us that's one of the reasons marijuana would be good for legalization, and here we are doing it, you know. And at some point, pot smokers were just like desperate. They were clinging for ideas to make legalization a dream come true, and now it's a dream come true, all right. It's, you know, no doubt that's what
I work
it is.
just as fucking hard and I get shit.
Both are among nearly 24 states and the District of Columbia that allow the use of medical marijuana, although cannabis remains illegal for any purpose under federal law. The 37-page complaint, which includes a history of marijuana prohibition in the United States, said that because of the federal ban, people who buy or sell pot implicate themselves in a crime which violates the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Basically, the federal government is not going to wait until marijuana is legalized federally to tax those specific states that have retail marijuana stores on, you know, open to the public. They're just not going to wait. I mean, basically, you know, we're saying, yeah, we're going to do this despite what you think, but we're taxing your ass, even though federal law prohibits that you even have retail stores selling marijuana.
Everything you want.
Yeah. There can be no possible scenario where a person, let's see, I lost my place, where a person paying marijuana-specific taxes can also be in full compliance with federal law, the lawsuit says. So it turns out it's kind of a catch-22 where, you know, we're like blackmailing the federal government. We're like saying, hey, if you want to tax us, you have to make it, you know, legal on a federal level. So I guess that's kind of sneaky, but I'm going to tell you right now, the fucking government, they're going to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Yeah. The first retail pot outlets opened in Colorado in January, and Washington is said to follow suit this year. Corey also said the state's 25% combined sales and excise taxes on marijuana sales have undermined what voters intended when they approved legalized cannabis, in part to take the criminal element out of marijuana use. The tax rates are so high that the underground market has experienced resurgence in Colorado.
Do your fucking job!
Yeah. Carolyn Tyler, a spokeswoman for Colorado Attorney General John Suthers, said the office will aggressively defend the state against any legal challenge. Mr. Corey's claims are bizarre and lack legal and logical consistency. That sounds like you're describing a pothead's ideas on the world.
Tell him to suck his pee-pee.
Colorado has reaped almost $11 million in sales and excise taxes from recreational marijuana since retail pot shops opened in January, according to figures released this week by the state's Revenue Department. Yep. You know, good luck with that. I'm glad I'm not a lawyer.
What a dick.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not a lawyer. That shit's, that's too fucking harsh. But yeah, the government's gonna take their share. If we say it's a legal business, then the government will say, okay, where's my cut?
Fuck you!
Yep. In odd news today. Yeah, we have odd news, if you can believe it. A civil lawsuit has been filed claiming that a Texas grocery store improperly labeled and sold beef penis. Beef penis. Penis of cows.
What a dick.
Yeah. As human food. As reported by KXAN News in Texas. The Texas Attorney General's office filed a suit against Austin's empty supermarket and their employee. I think maybe the employee did it as a joke, which, the Attorney General doesn't think it's...
Fuck you!
Yeah, he doesn't think it's funny. Yep. The lawsuit alleges that the supermarket manager and another worker repackaged beef penis, or pizzle, as it is called.
What a dick.
Labeled inedible beef, not intended for use as human food, into consumer-sized packages and mislabeled them as human food. The suit also said the packages indicated that they were inspected, and from a registered source, the defendants could face $5,000 in fines if the claims are found to be true.
Everything you want.
Well, I've never heard of pizzle before. Pizzle. Penis of animals.
Hated it.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Pizzle is an Old English word for animal penis, typically that of a bull. It is most common to find pizzle in the U.S. in bully sticks or pizzle sticks, which are chewable dog treats.
Hated it.
The station notes that some foreign cultures believe beef pizzle is an aphrodisiac and use it in soups and drinks.
Hated it.
According to the Telegraph, Chinese Olympians in 2008 used red deer pizzle to boost their stamina and aid their performance.
Hated it.
Yeah. There you go. Waste not, want not, I always say. Right. So we didn't get a chance yesterday to talk about cannibalism because Phil Robertson distracted me, right? So today, you've all been waiting for cannibalism.
Do your fucking job!
Cannibalism in Tennessee. A Tennessee man who confessed to killing a woman, cutting up her body, and eating part of it has been charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse, authorities said in a criminal complaint.
Do your fucking job!
That takes eating pussy to a whole new level, you know what I mean?
Not loud enough.
Yeah. Gregory Scott Hale is accused in the complaint of killing Lisa Marie Hyder on Friday at his home in Coffee County, Tennessee, about 70 miles southeast of Nashville. A sheriff's deputy said in the complaint that Hale confessed to killing Hyder, and then, after killing her, he beheaded her and cut off her hands, placing her head and hands in a plastic bucket. If you can believe that shit. Oh. He cut off her feet and other body parts, placing them in another bucket, and buried the victim's torso in a burn pile at the residence. Subject also admitted to eating part of the victim after murdering her. Wow, he must have really hated this bitch. He probably owed her like child support or stole his weed or something. No lawyer for Hale was listed on the complaint. He'll probably get public defender. Can you say public defender?
Blah, blah, blah.
According to the complaint signed on Monday, authorities executed a search warrant at Hale's house on Sunday after receiving information that a murder had been committed there and found the remains believed to be of Hyder. The complaint did not state a motive for the slaying or describe the relationship between the two. Hale is being held at Coffee County Jail on $1.5 million.
Well, isn't that special?
Yep. Good luck, dude. You'll never see the light of day again. Yep. I think in a crime like that, that's a really personal crime. It's like a very personal vendetta, very, very deep, very... Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Very deep vendetta. I don't think that's the kind of thing you just decide to do like on a whim. I think he's maybe had fantasies about it before, you know? So, in Los Angeles, the irony of this case. It's it's very profound. It's very ironic.
Well, isn't that special?
The irony of this case is very ironic.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah. A substance abuse counselor was sentenced Thursday to 55 years to life in prison for hitting a pedestrian with her car and driving through a Los Angeles suburb with a dying man on her windshield. Yeah. That's like that Creepshow. I forget if it's part 1 or part 2. Creepshow part 2 maybe? Where the guy's on the windshield the whole way.
God, man, what was in that shit, man? I never had no dope like that before in my life, man. That's the heaviest shit I ever smoked, man. I mean, that's more than a lot of skip man. God, man, that's heavy shit.
A jury earlier this year convicted Sherry Lee Wilkins, 53, of second-degree murder, driving under the influence, and hit and run. Prosecutors said Wilkins' blood alcohol level was nearly twice the legal limit when she struck 31-year-old Philip Moreno in November 2012 as she was leaving a counseling center for, believe it or not, for alcoholics and drug addicts. Yeah.
I work just as fucking hard and I get shit.
She drove 2 miles through the city of Torrance before other motorists swarmed her car at a traffic light and kept her there until police arrived. Moreno was taken to a hospital where he died. Superior Court Judge Henry Hale said Ms. Wilkins demonstrated an extraordinary callousness in fleeing the scene and trying to shake Mr. Moreno's body off her car. This is a callous murder, not an unfortunate accident.
Hated it.
Yeah, like, is she like trying to brake real hard or swerving or making hard turns trying to shake this dead body off her car? Jesus fucking Christ, dude. I mean, oh, Jesus fucking
What a
Christ.
dick.
Yep. Not an unfortunate act. Hall rejected a request from the defense and sentenced Wilkins under California's 3 strikes law, citing her long history of drug-related crimes that tripled the minimum 15 years to life she otherwise could have received before being eligible for parole. Wilkins, who was a drug addict before she became a drug and alcohol counselor, contended she wasn't drunk that night. She claimed she was self-medicating. Oh, I see the difference. Self-medicating.
Everything you want.
While waiting for knee replacement surgery, and had consumed 3 single-serving bottles of vodka and a can of Budweiser beer and Clamato before she jumped behind the wheel.
What a dick.
In her first apology since that night, Wilkins turned towards 16 Moreno family members and friends in the courtroom Thursday, and this is what she had to say. Yeah, this is what she had to say.
What a dick.
I'm sorry for the pain I caused you. It hurt so many people. The judge said he carefully considered the 3 strikes element. Ms. Wilkins is not what we normally see, Hall said. She's not a classic violent criminal, but you have to evaluate her history. She had an insatiable desire to become intoxicated, which we all have, I think.
Everything you want.
Yep. She also had a relatively unbroken crime history dating back 34 years. Wilkins' attorney, Deputy Public Defender Nan Whitfield, said she would appeal. Because this case was so emotionally charged, she told the judge, the jury was unable to see the evidence. They were unable to make a not a satisfactory, but a fair, objective decision.
Not loud enough.
Yeah. Outside court, Whitfield said, nobody likes a drunk driver because she was a drug and alcohol counselor. She's held to a higher standard, which I can totally see that.
And make sure it's a good one.
Deputy District Attorney John Harlan and Sam Ahmadpour said jurors evaluated the evidence carefully. So, I think they did too. I mean, a drunk driver is a drunk driver, really. I mean, self-medicating. Okay, that's what I'm doing right now with my rum and coke. I'm self-medicating because I'm depressed,
Well, isn't that special?
But say I get hungry and I drive to the McDonald's across the street and hit somebody, no one's going to buy that. No one's going to buy it.
Very hard to be a famous person.
Everyone is a human being and you have emotions, but this was not based on emotion, said Harlan. Wilkins testified during the trial that she never saw Moreno coming, and it was as if, check this out, it was as if he fell from the sky. The defense argued Moreno was drunk and jumped on Wilkins' car and that she panicked. The judge called the theory fanciful and an effort by Wilkins to evade personal responsibility.
Well, isn't that special?
Two family members and a friend of Moreno on Thursday angrily denounced Wilkins. Friend Victor Gassett said, Philip was 31. You were getting high longer than he was alive. Jesus Christ. Damn, that's some hard shit right there. He didn't give a fuck. He was like, you've been getting drunk longer than my friend was alive. Fucking whore.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Moreno's brother, Tony, told her she deserves to rot in prison for the rest of her life. Moreno's niece, of course he has 16 family members show up to court because he's Mexican. Moreno's niece, Elisa Moreno, told Wilkins, you made sure Philip went without any goodbyes. I wish the same for you. As of today, you will no longer exist to society. You will just be a number. Yep. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. A drunk driver's a drunk driver. Come on now. Take a break. We'll be back.
Come here, man. America, love. Do it, man.
Alright, we're back. KLC in the house, what's up? You know, thinking about that last case about the drunk driver, you know, it's better than watching the family be self-righteous and say they forgive Wilkins, you know? I mean, I recently knew someone that got killed by a drunk driver, right? And you know, she was really nice and all that kind of stuff. And we were acquaintances really, but you know, she was hot, right? And she got killed, and like it was like from one day to the next. She was here and then she wasn't. And all because, you know, someone decided to drive drunk, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, if I was, she had her daughter in the car, and if I was her daughter, I would be like, you fucking asshole, you killed my mother because of what you decided to do that night, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, there's no pity, there's no love, there's in all reality, there's no forgiveness when things like that happen. Yep. You know what I mean? So, you know, speaking of revenge. Yeah. Speaking of revenge, this revenge story is kind of 12 years in the making. You know, supporters are lining up behind an Alabama father charged with killing the man who went to prison for molesting his daughter more than a decade ago. But a man who came face to face with the alleged gunman said Tuesday the shooter doesn't deserve any praise. No. A Facebook site created to show support for the man who had more than 950 members within hours of its creation, and donors gave more than $350 on another website to help fund his legal defense. Jason Lackey, a longtime friend of the alleged shooter, contributed $150 himself.
What a dick.
The guy was guilty of raping his little girl, and I guess he dealt with it for 12 years, and it just built up, said Lackey, who has a recreational vehicle business in Coleman, Alabama. I won't say he had the right to go murder him, but I understand what he did. That's kind of a self-righteous statement. That's kind of, you know, that's kind of a double statement. He should just say, yeah, he had every right to kill that motherfucker, and I'm glad he did it. The Associated Press doesn't identify victims of sex crimes, and it isn't naming the man charged with murder to protect his daughter's identity.
Tell him to suck his pee-pee.
The father is charged with murder in the slaying of Raymond Earl Brooks, 59, a registered sex offender who was fatally shot on Sunday outside the rural home where he lived with his parents. Brooks pleaded guilty to sexually abusing the man's daughter in 2002, and the Alabama Department of Corrections said Brooks served 27 months of a 5-year prison term before being released early in February of 2005.
Tell him to suck his pee-pee.
All right. I see where that comes in. He only served about 2 years of a 5-year sentence. Only 5 years for molesting a little girl? Jesus.
What a dick.
And he only served 2 of them.
What a dick.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop there. The father also is charged with opening fire on a stepdaughter's boyfriend outside a convenience store moments before the slaying. I think the stepdaughter's boyfriend probably told the father that he should forgive the guy.
What a dick.
Yep. That's what I think. Mike Hayes, who cooks and operates a small barbecue restaurant inside Berlin Plaza Quick Shop, where the shooting occurred, said he came face to face with the shooter after the man opened fire outside and then entered the store looking for his intended victim, who wasn't hurt.
Because
People here are calling him a hero for killing a child molester. I'm calling him a psychopath lunatic for endangering people's lives, Hayes said. Psychopath lunatic. I guess if the shoe fits, you know what I mean?
Blah, blah, blah.
If the shoe fits, wear it. Yep. After stopping his motorcycle at an intersection outside the store, the father fired once at a man who was standing beside an ice cooler, Hayes said. The bullet entered an exterior wall of the store and chipped a window, but no one was hurt. Hayes said he retrieved his own weapon and confronted the gunman near the cash register. Well, I guess it's Alabama, right? It's Alabama, so everyone has a fucking gun. Jesus.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
He had the gun down by his side. He was calm as you are standing there now. But he had that look in his eye. I have no problem with him shooting a child molester, just not 12 years later. If it was my daughter, he would have died back in 2002. Brooks' father, Ralph Brooks, told the local TV station in Birmingham that his son did not deserve to die. He said Raymond Earl Brooks turned his life around after his conviction and lived a godly life. I don't want to read no more. A godly life, active in his church. Active in his church. Fuck you.
Well, isn't that special?
Active in his church. Because his son's conviction happened so long ago, he said he couldn't be sure if the shooting was a form of revenge.
Well, isn't that special?
Actually, I bet you that motherfucker thought his son would get away with it. To be honest.
I work just as fucking hard and I get shit.
It would be unbelievable to hold animosity in your heart for 12 years. Not. Are you kidding me? You've never held a grudge for 12 years? I think anybody, any one of us can hold a grudge for 12 years, even into the afterlife. A person who answered the door at the Brooks home Tuesday told an Associated Press reporter the family was making funeral arrangements and was not available to comment immediately. Lackey's the shooter's best friend, right? Said he was told by a relative that the shootings followed a family argument over the stepdaughter's boyfriend that grew heated enough to include a reference to the sexual abuse case from years before. And his friend, his loyal friend, says, I'm 100% behind him. Yep. I'm 100% behind him.
Fuck you!
I'm 100% behind him. Sid.
Fuck you!
You know, like, okay, we all know, like, when people go to prison for child molestation and whatnot, like raping little kids and shit, we know that prisoners don't treat pedophiles or sex offenders as one of their own. Okay? So, I think, what if this is just an ugly rumor? Because this guy, he was old, right? 59. The offender who got murdered, he was 59 years old, and he went to prison for 2 years. How come he made it out? I mean, don't prisoners know that we, as a civilized society, don't they fucking know that we depend on them to kill child molesters?
Do your fucking job!
Right. We do. We depend on them. Why did this motherfucker get released? You know?
You should put a hit on that puto.
Right. That's true. You know, I mean, they should take their responsibility as convicted felons more seriously.
Do your fucking job!
Yep. Yep. So, this is the part where we get into killing Christians. Hold on. What? A hanging.
And make sure it's a good one.
Yeah. A hanging, an old-fashioned hanging, but not in America. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry criticized Sudan for sentencing a Christian woman to hang for apostasy, urging Khartoum, urging Khartoum to repeal its laws banning Muslims from converting. Maryam Yahya Ibrahim Ishag, who was born to a Muslim father, was sentenced to death on May 15th under Islamic Sharia law that has been in place since 1983 and outlaws conversions under penalty of death.
Put a hit on that puto.
The United States remains deeply concerned about the conviction and continued imprisonment of Miss Maryam Ishag, Kerry said in a statement. The top U.S. diplomat said he was deeply committed to a better future for Sudan and his people. Well, that's nice of him.
Put a hit on that puto.
That is one of the reasons we are all so concerned about the travails of Maryam Ishag, he added. Ishag was raised an Orthodox Christian, her mother's religion, married a Christian man originally from South Sudan, and already had a 20-month-old son before she gave birth in May 27th. Right. Kerry urged Sudanese authorities to allow Ishag, merely 27 years old, to be reunited with her family. I urge the Sudanese judiciary and government to respect Miss Ishag's fundamental right to freedom of religion.
Well, isn't that special?
That's nice. She has a fundamental right, a God-given right, to practice whatever religion she wants to practice, Christianity.
Well, isn't that special?
I also urge Sudan to repeal its laws that are inconsistent with its 2005 interim constitution.
Well, isn't that special?
Such actions would help to demonstrate to the Sudanese people that their government intends to respect their fundamental freedoms and universal human rights.
Hated it.
Yeah. The case has embarrassed the Sudanese authorities, which has given contradictory statements about her possible release, raising the ire of Western governments and human rights groups. Mm-hmm.
Fuck you!
Yep. So what do we think about this, you guys? It's time for Devil's Advocate.
What a dick.
So, if this woman was a Christian converting to Islamic faith, would Mr. John Kerry still care? You know? Would he still be so adamant about having this woman released? If she was leaving Christianity, right? If she was leaving Christianity, you know, and converting to the Islamic faith. Let's see. She was raised as a Christian, right? So technically she already is a Christian, but we're dealing with a Middle Eastern government that's very archaic. Okay? So technically she's already a Christian, but because she married a Christian man and not a Muslim man, her faith is kind of solidified as a Christian.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yep. And apparently the Christian man that she married is nowhere to be found. He's, he's off the hook, I guess.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
I think she was just a piece of ass for him, and he split. Yep. Yep. Today's devil's advocate, everybody. It's because she wanted to be a Christian, so John Kerry gets all huffy and puffy and says, you are wrong. You need to let her go. Blah, 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 blah.
Because...
Yep. Alright, it's time for another break. And I'm back. King of Cups here on the Devil's homepage. You know, that was a band by, who is it? Scar the Martyr. Yeah, that was them. So we're going to go international, and then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it back home to a more familiar setting, a more happy place.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Okay. Religion news. Who would have thought on my show we would have news about religion?
Blah, blah, blah.
Huh? In Beijing, in the wake of a brutal murder by members of a religious sect, the Chinese government is renewing its crackdown on cults. Well, it's about time.
Well, isn't that special?
State-run publications such as Something Chinese News Agency are producing a steady stream of articles alarming citizens to the dangers of religious cults. They have a name for it, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it because, you know, I'm not Chinese, right? So, in English, it means evil religions. Yes, evil religions. So this Chinese news agency, reports that the government has handed out 4-year prison terms to 59 of the 1,500 cult members arrested in 2012. These 59 individuals were charged with using religious organizations to disrupt their legal system. Would religious organizations really do that, you think?
Very hard to be a famous person.
Yeah. So here we go with the human rights activists. And mainstream religious leaders in China see this latest anti-cult campaign as a reflection of the government's broader fear of organized religion, especially groups it cannot control. Tang Bao, a defense lawyer and descendant, he's a rebel. I think that's what that word means. He's a rebel.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yep. Tells ABC News that the recent campaign is inextricably connected with the repression against religions in general, because religious belief is an assault on the government's official atheist policy. You know, I kind of have to agree with that. The killing that sparked this campaign was particularly violent and grabbed national attention. On May 28th, 6 members of a religious sect entered a McDonald's restaurant in Zhaohan on a recruiting mission. A young Chinese mother was inside waiting for her 7-year-old son and husband to arrive. The group approached her, asked her for her number. When she refused, members of the group beat her to death with fists, chairs, and a steel mop. Wow. That's so fucking disgusting. When she refused, members of the group beat her to death with fists, chairs, and a metal mop.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
The religious sect calls itself Church of Almighty God. Nothing new there. Which translates as all-powerful spirit. They have a Chinese word for it, but I'm not going to read that shit. I'm so sure.
Blah, blah, blah.
All-powerful spirit. It was banned by the government in 1995, but now is believed to have over 1 million members in China, with many from rural areas. They could be living next door to you. The group is well known for its unorthodox and inflammatory behaviors. Arrests started in 2012 after members of the sect organized outdoor prayer meetings and disseminated pamphlets asserting that Joining the sect would save believers from the impending apocalypse on December 21st, the date many religious groups believe to be doomsday. Didn't we already go through this with the Mayas?
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
December 21st. I know this is a brand new news story. It's not last year's news story. Some observers see the government's new campaign as another round of efforts to counter unsanctioned belief groups. Cao Nalai, associate professor at People's University in Beijing, told the Los Angeles Times that over the past 5 years, the crackdown on unsanctioned sects was not very visible, but is now a big issue and has become a top priority for government officials.
Blah, blah, blah.
The Chinese government has a historical tendency to try and manage all religious activities. Officially, the Communist Party permits Buddhism, Taoism, Islam, and Catholic and Protestant Christianity. Religious groups are supposed to be affiliated with the government-approved umbrella organization, but millions of Chinese have joined unsanctioned religious groups instead, a development that makes Chinese authorities nervous because many uprisings have sprung from quasi-Christian sects in the past. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Kind of, a little bit, maybe? Maybe?
Hated it.
Yeah. This is not the first campaign targeted at religious groups. In May, another government campaign ostensibly aimed at demolishing illegally built churches spilled over to target legally registered churches in southern Zhejiang province. An anonymous worshiper at Holy Love Church in Ningbo told the Telegraph that a provincial official ordered the removal of a cross on top of the church because it was too shiny, too tall, and too big.
Hated it.
I find crosses personally to be too shiny, too tall, and too big as well.
Hated it.
When the congregation refused, the officials told them the whole church would be torn down. Bravo! I personally believe churches should be torn down also, Christian churches. The country's religious leaders and human rights advocates are worried that the campaigns targeting religious groups will affect doctrinally mainstream religious groups that are unsanctioned by Communist Party. General Secretary of the Hong Kong Church Renewal Movement said that doctrinally mainstream but unsanctioned house churches in Wenzhou have already experienced the effects of the crackdown as the government demolished religious buildings. Wow. Also, the recent events resulted in tighter control on religious politics and the government's fear for the West's use of religion to infiltrate into the politics of China.
Everything you want.
So basically, Chinese are like, hey, you know what? We don't want to end up like the United States, where we have to post the 10 Commandments in front of our courthouses. Please.
Because.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're saying, you know what? This little experiment of democracy the United States has is bullshit. We are communists. Do what we say, damn you. Yep. I can understand that too. I can understand. Well, guess why? Guess why though, dude? You know what I mean? This is what I'm gonna say. This is my point.
And make sure it's a good one.
The Communist Party, like they have, at least China, has an atheistic view of life. Okay, they don't want Christianity, especially Christianity, to, you know, have a hold on their political views. We use Christianity in the United States as a reference to make laws, policies. You know, it decides who we vote for, who's a better Christian than the other man. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you know, they don't want any part of it. And basically they are seeing things that we as United States citizens are not seeing things. They're looking at it from the outside in and they're saying, hey, we do not want to be like them. Look at them. People go to United States for welfare. No welfare here. Damn you.
Do your fucking job!
We tell you what to do. That's basically what they want to say.
This is my show.
In more religious news, the debate of abortion is up for more debate. And we all know that Catholics, Christians, fucking, you know, Baptists, Southern Baptists.
What a dick.
We all know that their version of religious freedom is letting them do whatever they want because it's part of their religion. If a minority, such as a Satanist, right,
Everything you want.
says, hey, you are now infringing upon my religious freedom, we all know that politically, in general, the population is going to side with the Christians. We all know that a Christian will have a direct line to the President of the United States. As of right now, we are not aware of a Satanist having a direct line to the President of the United States.
Fuck you!
You know what I mean? So we all know that this takes place. We can't be stupid. We can't put our head in the sand and say, you know, this doesn't happen. That, you know what I mean? Christians are not being fair. They have never been fair. There's all kinds of prejudice in Christianity, but no one believes it. Okay? So there you go. So, on that note, in recent years, the U.S. Catholic bishops have been among the strongest proponents of religious freedom, which I start to laugh.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
By which they mean the right of Catholics to express values such as opposition to same-sex marriage or contraception in their daily lives. For example, they've pushed strenuously for a broad-based exemption to the Affordable Care Act to allow any employer claiming a religious objection to contraception to refuse to provide it to employees. Exactly. The Catholic Church has influence on how the Affordable Care Act is written out.
Because
Need I say more? I can throw this article away right now. You guys know what I mean. Right? I would hope so.
Hated it.
But a recent incident illustrates that the institutional church doesn't extend that same freedom of religious expression to many of its own followers who dissent from its official position on abortion. Wow. But are we really surprised? The joke's on you, Catholics. The National Catholic Reporter, which is by far the most liberal of the semi-official Catholic publications, refused an ad for my book, Good Catholics, The Battle Over Abortion in the Catholic Church, which charts the clashes between two pro-choice Catholics and the Catholic hierarchy over whether good Catholics can support abortion rights or vote for pro-choice politicians. A spokesperson from the publication couldn't respect arguments that try to say that abortion can be a good thing, and likened giving space to abortion dissenters to promoting polygamy. Polygamy in the sense that he's using it in the sense that this article is using it, is a duality of beliefs, right?
Everything you want.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So some Catholics think abortion is a practical, valid, moral, ethical choice. Sometimes it has to be done. And some Catholics are like, from the sticks, and they are traditionalists, orthodox, whatever you want to call them, and they say no abortion at all, ever.
What a dick.
I'm not sure the person delivering that message grasped the irony of censoring an ad about a book that's largely about attempts to suppress abortion dissent. The episode is emblematic of how any discussion of abortion has been completely suppressed within the church, even to the point of trying to deny history. Legitimate questions. Hold on. Would the Catholic Church really deny historical events? Would they really do that? I don't know about that. That's a religion built on honesty, built on love.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Legitimate questions about how to comport Catholic doctrine with competing demands for women's anatomy and access to health care and the rights of others in pluralistic society have been reduced to aspersions that pro-choice Catholics think abortion is a good thing. Oh boy. Fuck Jesus Christ.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I said it.
Very hard to be a famous person.
In the summer of 1964, for instance, with support growing for the legalization of abortion in the circumstances of rape, incest, and fetal deformities, the Kennedy family summoned some of the nation's most prominent Catholic theologians to Hyannisport to deliberate how to formulate a political stance on abortion that would be compatible both with Catholic teaching.
Well, isn't that special?
They concluded it wasn't possible to enforce the Church's strict prohibition of abortion without significant attendant social evils. And this is what they did, okay? And we all know this, like being Satanists. I mean, we know this. It's in our Bible. It's in our Bible. We know this.
Fuck you!
The Kennedys asked the question, is there a way we can make abortion legal and still be good Catholics or without being sinners?
Fuck you!
Is there a way we can do what we want and not offend God?
Fuck you!
Is there a way we can do what's practical and still be saints?
Fuck you!
Right. This is exactly the reason I'm a fucking Satanist right now. The Catholics that do agree that abortion is a valid choice for those that don't want kids or even can't afford them, they're changing the rules to suit their own practical needs. Catholicism at this point is no longer Catholicism from the divine supreme being, as some say. But it's a revamped version. It's more human-friendly because, humans get pregnant when they don't want to. They get raped when they don't want to. They get deformed babies when they don't want to.
Well, isn't that special?
And basically, we should just save ourselves the trouble of revamping Catholicism, for example, and become Satanists. Things like abortion, things like sexuality, it's up to you. It's a valid practical solution, not because Anton LaVey says. Anton LaVey basically says, do what's practical in your life.
Because
Jesus says, you know what Jesus says?
Because
I said so. You know? It's a practical solution, abortion, to everyday problems outside of any kind of God-fearing dogma. And I'm telling you right now, abortion is not a social ill, but probably the answer to several social ills we have in America that we have to deal with. You know, it's probably the answer to overcrowding in jails, poverty, homelessness, thievery, drug use. You know, there you go. That's why I'm a Satanist. I'm bypassing all the political bullshit that the Catholic Church is spitting out there, asking me to come up with a solution where we can commit sin, for lack of a better term, and still be good Catholics. You know what? To be a successful person in this fucking life, you have to get rid of all that traditional dogma, all that fucking sin all those things you think are sin, you've thought were sin for a very long time. You need to get rid of that shit, and that's how you're gonna be successful, at peace with your everyday life, man. If you need to get an abortion, I mean, don't fucking ask Jesus, you know, what should I do? Should I get an abortion? You know why? Because Jesus has never been pregnant. You know, it's the truth. Jesus doesn't know. Jesus had everything handed to him, to be honest. He was never poor. Yeah, he was humble, blah, blah, blah. But what did they bring him on his birthday? The day he was fucking born, what did they bring him? A pile of fucking gold. All kinds of fucking cash. You're set for life, kid. You know? He doesn't know what it's like to actually have to survive.
Everything you want.
And on top of everything else, people say, oh, what about the crucifixion, blah, 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 blah.
Everything you want.
And he chose that for himself. He chose to put himself through that agony. Right? So he doesn't know anything about what we have to go through at all. Fuck Jesus Christ. I'm sick of him. We need to stop listening to him and wake up. That's the honesty of it. Well, so goes another show, everyone. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned something, and maybe I'll be back sooner than you think to help you learn something. This is King of Cups for the Devil's Homepage, saying peace out.
Satan, Satan, lend me $1. Satan, Satan, let me $1 now. Satan, Satan, lend me $1. Satan, Satan, let me $1 now. The IRS, it really sucks. Uncle Sam took all my butt. If I was taught to make you mad, you wouldn't be half so bad. Satan, lend me $1. Satan, Satan, let me $1 now. Please, Satan, Satan, lend me $1. Satan, Satan, let me $1 now. If you could spare a dime, that would sure be grand. So won't you come up and lend a helping hand? Please, Satan.